Hey everyone, welcome back to the Porter Says podcast with your host and only host, Heath. Welcome to episode 10. Yeah, we made it to 10 episodes. Not the biggest deal in the world, but, considering the fact that, I didn't think it would be, didn't think the podcast would be doing as well as it, doing as well as it is. It's doing pretty decently. So very happy for, everyone to get to 10 episodes. Do have a lot of free time on my hands, so I didn't really, didn't think I was going to be so busy and super busy with stuff going on. But yeah, so episode 10. This might be a long one because I've got a lot that I want to talk about. I am going to talk about some like movie and TV show. Well, maybe not TV show news unless something pops in my head, but some movie announcements like casting, fan casting, some video game news. Not too much because I'm not super into video games, but I'm pretty sure there's people who are. So I'm going to try and kind of appeal to those people who like video games more than TV shows and film and all that, because I'm sure there's a lot of them out there, the gamers and stuff like that. So, but of course, I would like to talk about the Patreon, which if you haven't checked it out, please do. I'm going to get the movies that I've been watching over the past couple of days and all that out of the way. Just so, because again, I have a lot to talk about. Yeah. Well, it doesn't seem like a lot, but for me, it is. And with this being episode 10, I figured I'd do something, a little, not different, but something to keep you guys, to keep coming back to this podcast. So, the first movie I want to talk about is a movie called Begin Again that stars Mark Ruffalo. Yeah, Mark Ruffalo and Keira Knightley, Haley Steinfeld, James Corden. I won't give too much away really about this movie. It's about these two kind of down on their luck people. Mark Ruffalo is working for this record company, and he's not doing super well, but he meets Keira Knightley, who's trying to kind of get back into the music world, and they kind of form a friendship, and she, he takes her on and forms a little band and starts recording a bunch of songs and music and stuff like that to try and get her stuff out there. Adam Levine from Maroon 5 is also in this, and he was actually pretty good in this movie. And I didn't actually know if he was going to be that great of an actor, because this is probably the first thing I've seen him in. This came out in 2013 or 2014. If you want to, let me know down below if I got that right. I think it was 2013. I was not expecting much from this movie. It's one of those. It feels like it's one of those like independent, little indie films that kind of flew under the radar when it came out. But honestly, it was a great movie. I liked all the characters. I thought the story was not super original, but pretty great. And I like the message of that. Even if you're kind of down on your luck, there'll be days where you feel low. But then there will be other days where you get off your ass and you work and you work and you work to fulfill your dreams and what you want to become. So yeah, that's a film I would definitely recommend if you haven't seen it. Yeah. Then I watched 17 again. Like I rewatched 17 again with Zac Efron, Matthew Perry, bunch of others. Leslie Mann, I think her name is. You've probably seen her in a bunch of comedies and stuff like that. This is more of a childhood film. I saw this when I was about 8 years old. I saw it in theaters, I believe. either saw it in theaters or saw it on DVD. I can't remember, but I was obsessed with it, and this was around the time where like Zac Efron was starting to get like even more popular than he was, because obviously everybody knows him for High School Musical. Which, little side note, I've been seeing, all over social media that High School Musical turned 19 years old this year. One more year until it celebrates its 20th anniversary, which is pretty wild. And if you want to know my thoughts on all of those High School Musical movies, stay tuned, because that'll probably be a Patreon episode. So yeah, I won't say too much about that, but yeah, pretty cool. So, but yeah, back to 17 again. Childhood film. Kind of, the typical story of a guy who's, again, not doesn't have the best life. He's divorced his wife, or is going through a divorce. His kids don't really want much to do with him, and has this spirit guide that comes along and takes him, or takes him back to when he was 17, and he try and kind of fix up his life and rekindle things with people in his life. It's a fun little, kind of fun little high school flick. There's a lot of scenes, and it was really, this time rewatching it, I just had so many jokes in my head, High School Musical jokes, because it's essentially High School Musical, but without the singing. Zac Efron's in high school again. He's playing basketball. He's got the same like haircut and stuff like that he had in High School Musical 3. So, because considering the fact it came out a year after High School Musical 3, I'm not so shocked. So, if you like Zac Efron and you like high school comedies like 2000s, then I'd say give it a watch. And if you haven't seen it in years, I'd say rewatch it, because I think it holds up pretty well. There's a lot of funny scenes. I think Zac Efron does a good job. I think Matthew Perry, may he rest in peace. I mean, this was passed away a couple of years ago, but still, he had a big impact on everybody. So yeah, I'd recommend 17 again. And of course, had to go and see Spider-Man 3 on the big screen, which was probably the most fun out of seeing the first 3 in theaters. Probably the best theater experience. Yeah, everybody was having so much fun in the theater. If you want to, again, I'm kind of plugging the Patreon here, but if you want to know my thoughts on every single Spider-Man movie, then stay tuned for the Patreon episode, because yeah, that's all I can say. But yeah, Spider-Man 3, it was really fun seeing it in theaters. That's all I'll say. Another Zac Efron comedy, but it's not just Zac Efron in this one. Baywatch from 2017 with The Rock, Alexander Daddario, cameos from David Hasselhoff and Pamela Anderson, who were the stars of the TV show of Baywatch. Silly movie, really silly, really corny, cheesy, but that's what Baywatch was and is. And it's just an excuse to show off a bunch of like attractive people running in slow motion. It's a really stupid movie, but I had fun. I've seen it this is my 3rd time watching it. And I had a lot of fun. It's not a perfect movie, like, at all. It's, it's just dumb, but it's dumb in all the right ways. I'd almost call it like a guilty pleasure, but yeah. Well, Porter's come to join us. Sorry you can't see him, but he's here. He's there. I'll say that. So, and then the last one, last movie that I watched was American Assassin with Dylan O'Brien and Michael Keaton. Actually, never seen this one before. This was like yeah, this was it's a first time watch because I remember seeing like the trailer for it when it was coming out, and I was thinking, okay, it looks like a very stereotypical action film, and well, yeah, it is. It was brutal though, pretty pretty violent movie, pretty good time. Dylan O'Brien and Michael Keaton gave really solid performances. Great action sequences. Like, I think they were well directed. The editing was a bit choppy in a lot of scenes, but nothing too extreme and nothing too. I think Porter had something to say. Hopefully that picked that up because that was adorable. All right. Oh god, here comes the scratching. Sorry. Yeah, right. So yeah, American Assassin. I'd recommend all these movies just to show. I feel like most of you have seen maybe all of these, except for I think the one I'd recommend the most is Begin Again because I feel like not enough people have seen that. Like, yeah, I'd say that's probably the best movie on the list. Although Spider-Man 3 it's Spider-Man 3. It's to give a little sneak peek. It's something. It's a movie that I've definitely appreciated over the past couple of years and kind of gained some more love for it. That's all I'll say. And that is it for in terms of films. So let's get on to some of the like movie news and stuff like that. Now, a lot of this is kind of not super old, but it's been like a couple of weeks, or maybe I think this stuff recently just came out. But a lot of it is a few weeks old. But I wanted to get my personal thoughts on this, and maybe if there's people who don't keep up with film news, but who still go to watch movies, I feel like inform you on what's going on. So let's get to it. There was a new little teaser of the live action How to Train Your Dragon. I don't know what that was. How to Train Your Dragon live action teaser release that shows some new footage. A lot of it was the same, but there was some new footage released of kind of trying to do some like recreation of big scenes. So like the scene where Toothless and Hiccup first meet, there's a few new shots of him doing the whole thing like that where he looks. There was kind of a new shot where he looked, and then it shows Toothless drawing in the dirt, so then he can kind of get Hiccup to step on the lines and get to him, so then he can do the whole touching on his head, and they begin to form a friendship. So it's pretty cool. This has been like a big thing for a while, but Spider-Verse 3, Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, I think it's called, Beyond the Spider-Verse, probably won't be releasing until 2027 or 2028 at the latest. I actually just saw today that they haven't really started recording a lot of stuff, and they are taking their time with this movie, but in my opinion, I think that could be a good thing, which means that they're taking time to make the best movie that they can, and they're not rushing it like a lot of Sony stuff does. It baffles me that we get great movies like these Spider-Verse films, and then you get really shit things like Craven or Madam Web or Morbius and all that stupid bullcrap that we get. So, it's probably more annoying to like rewatch Across the Spider-Verse because of that cliffhanger and that we've had to wait this long. But as long as they deliver and make a great film and conclude the trilogy like in a satisfying way, then I'll be happy. I'm gonna take a drink here. I need to stay awake. It's like 10 o'clock at night, so I'm gonna do this now. What's next? Yes. So the 2010 animated Tangled movie is getting the live action treatment. I haven't seen Tangled since the last time I rewatched it was probably 2017, 2015 or 2016, I believe. And even then, like, before 2017, I hadn't seen it since like 2010 or 11. So, I'm not like massive on Tangled. I don't love it like a lot of people do. I think it's a pretty solid Disney animated movie, and I love Mandy Moore, who voices Rapunzel. Zachary Levi does a great job as Flynn, I think. It's a fun Disney movie. I probably need to rewatch it, and then maybe I'll talk about it some more in a future episode. But, you know, there's been some, like, fan castings, or people, you know, whatever you want to call it. Sabrina Carpenter is in talks. I think that could be great, because Sabrina Carpenter is very talented, great actress, so I could see that. There's obviously, like, no official release date or anything like that, but there's, you know, it's in development, so we shall see what happens. There'll be some news maybe in the next couple of months, or, I mean, look, it's another Disney live action, so it could go either way. We'll have to see how Snow White does. We'll have to see, shall we? And then, in terms of, like, the last thing of movie news, there's talks that, you know, Doctor Strange 3 and Shang-Chi 2, which I feel like that movie has been in development for, like, ages. Same thing with Doctor Strange 3, but I feel like Shang-Chi's been longer, and they're supposedly going to start filming either this year or next year. Yeah, next year. Probably won't be released until 2027 or probably 2028. Who knows? I am probably looking forward to Shang-Chi 2 more, just because I really like the first one a lot. And I feel like there's more to do in that world and with those characters. Doctor Strange 3, I'm sure will be okay, but I feel like after the last one, which Doctor Strange 2, like Multiverse of Madness, was fun, but it's one of those movies that I feel like could have been so much better, and it's also like one of those few experiences, or probably a lot more in the last couple of years, where especially when it comes to the MCU stuff, minus a few exceptions actually, is that when I first saw Doctor Strange 2 in the theater, I walked out loving it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great movie. I rewatched it at home, and it just didn't have the same, you know, it just wasn't as good as I remembered. Like, for some reason, it just lost a lot for me, and yeah, I think I was rewatching it a third time like a year or two ago, maybe, and it just, I don't know. It's still fun, but there was so much potential with that movie. Really, it could have been so much more than it was. Probably one of the more disappointing MCU films, I think. I personally, I think the Marvels. No, wait. What came out that year? There was Doctor Strange 2 in 2022. Then there was Thor: Love and Thunder. Woof. And then there was Wakanda Forever, which was okay. But in terms of like 2023, we had Guardians 3, we had Ant-Man 3, Ant-Man 3, and The Marvels, which is the Captain Marvel sequel. And I think Guardians 3 was pretty great. I think that was a great movie. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. That's, you know, Doctor Strange and Shang-Chi 2. They're Doctor Strange 3 and Shang-Chi 2 potentially going to be start filming next year for a 2027 release date or something like that. I don't know if they'll both come out that year. I'm assuming they will. Marvel does that a lot. And then, yes, Shrek 5, which was originally going to be released in July of 2026, has been pushed to October. So now in the July release is another Minions movie, which, why? Can we just let Shrek 5 be in there? Everybody wants to see Shrek 5. No one wants more Minions. Like, Sure, they're entertaining in some ways, but they're also annoying as shit. Yeah, God. So that's kind of annoying, but maybe, again, they're taking their time with Shrek 5. Maybe. I am pretty excited for Shrek 5. Who isn't? Like, come on. It's Shrek. Again, that could be a future Patreon episode all its own on all the Shrek franchise, because there's a lot of stuff in Shrek. There's a lot of stuff to probably talk about. Not just the movies, there's a lot of like specials and stuff like that. I'm not talking about what the internet has done to Shrek. I don't think I want to mention any of that. I think if you know, you know. If you don't, you've been living under a freaking rock. So, and then just a couple of like video game things. GTA 6 will be released in late 2025, so that could be like maybe November, December. I know GTA 5 came out in September of 2013, so maybe they could go for a September release of this year, but I feel like if they said late, I would assume that's November or December. Late 2025, maybe. And I'm pretty excited because considering the fact how good GTA 5 was and how much fun that was, I have a feeling it's going to be a really good game, and I hope the story is also like really good. And I'm sure it will, because the story for 5 was pretty investing. I liked where it was going. I don't know, because I don't know a whole lot about the video game world. I don't know a lot about GTA in general. So I don't know like if we're going to get like new characters, if people from previous games are going to reprise their role or whatever. So who knows? You never really do know with the video game world what they can do. It's not anything like movies or TV shows. So. And then one of the latest news, I think, is that Nintendo is coming out with their next, newest video game system, console, whatever you want to call it, is a Nintendo Switch 2. I'm shocked that it took them this long, because I feel like Nintendo's not super fast, but they always are getting their stuff out as soon as they can, for people to consume, for consumers. And always getting out early stuff to like bigger people out on the internet and YouTube, like review copies and stuff like that. Always getting, sending them out for people to review and promote their new console, new video game, whatever you want to do, I suppose, with that stuff. But Nintendo Switch 2, I can't remember exactly when the Nintendo Switch was first released. I think it was about 2017. So that was like, oh God, like 8 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, probably nearly 8 years ago. So it's pretty crazy. 7-8 years later, we're finally getting Nintendo Switch 2, and I don't know what to expect from what we saw in there. They showed like they released a video and stuff like that. It looks different, but not too different to the point where it's like this is too much. They changed it too much. Like it's similar enough and different enough where you actually like want to buy. I think it has a bigger screen potentially, and there's more stuff on the back and all that. So, and who knows what kind of games they'll come out with for this new console, new system. I actually have my Switch is currently up there, and I have so much fun playing on that. So. And then that is honestly, because again I wrote a lot of stuff on my notes. What else is there? Trying to think. Oh, talk about the Until Dawn trailer. The new movie coming out based on the video game. I don't know how I feel about that trailer. I mean, I've actually never really played the game. I've seen plenty of of gameplay footage to get an understanding of what it is. And the movie looks like it's capturing nothing of that. It just kind of looks like a typical, horror film like that, and I saw a comment in the comment section for the trailer where someone said, "Oh, we got to make it until dawn," and I was like, "That's a joke, right?" Then they say it in the trailer. I'm like, "Oh, they actually said it. I thought that was a joke." No. So yeah, that's a thing that happened. I don't know. I'm sure it'll be. I'm sure it'll be fine. I guess. I don't know who was really asking for it, but I don't know. Anything can happen. It could end up being a great movie. You never know. I just yeah. Yeah. So that might actually conclude the end. The end of the 10th episode of the Porter Says podcast. So, I mean, I would like to say for everybody who has been watching it, it's not a ton of people, but for the people who have come back for the past, the previous 9 episodes, and I really hope you watch this one, and share it with your friends and family, and subscribe to this, and check it out on Spotify, check out the Patreon, all that stuff. I'm even, thinking about, like, I have, the T Public thing, but I don't know if that's going to even start doing well at all, really. But I was actually discussing tonight of actually making some official merch. I think that could be a pretty cool idea. I've already got some photos and kind of a structure of what I want to do. So I figured I'd, say that as well. But yeah, I want to thank you for the support that I've been getting. It's not a whole lot, but it's a good amount to keep me wanting to do this and keep bringing people back and growing an audience. Yeah, so thank you so much. I know it's only episode 10, but again, still pretty cool, it's not a massive milestone, but it's it just goes to show, like I just, shows my creative side. And I'm not the most creative person in the world here and all that, but I mean, this podcast has only been going for about 2 or 3 months, I think, since maybe 2.5, close to 3 months since the first episode released back in, I think it came out on, I don't think it was 31st of October, but it might have been the 31st of October. I don't know. And I feel like I filmed in so many different locations, but I think for now this is the permanent set. You can actually tell that in the background I've put, I've got Thor, obviously, I've got the signed Peter Pan picture, and I've got the Hobbit sword, which I thought would be a cool little addition to this episode. Thought I'd try and change it up a little bit and make it a bit different. So I just want to say once again, thank you. That's all I can really say. So I hope you enjoyed the 10th episode of the Porter Says podcast with your host and only host, Heath. Again, Porter kind of made an appearance. You heard him in the background. He had 1 or 2 things to say. So, hope you stick around and give me some more support. So I would really much appreciate it. But just kind of like watching the videos is good enough for me, and it keeps me a little bit busy. Gives me stuff to do. So, yeah, I shall catch you guys next time for episode 11. So take care, everybody. Thank you so much.